Hey y'all, this is ShellyPhish, and that's fish with a PH, by the way. So I had a couple requests, and I obviously have a metric crap ton of downtime because the coronavirus. So here I am. So I'm just making like a real basic tutorial, or at least showing you like my process of doing things. Just as a disclaimer, I totally don't consider myself professional. If there's like a better way that you guys think or you other artists use to create your own art, by all means, let me know, because I'm always looking for cool ways to improve my stuff here. What my process basically comes down to is production at the end of the day. Um, I draw Elliot's Journal, which is mainly hosted on Webtoon. So, hey, if you're not subscribed, go subscribe to it, because everybody needs subscribers. Hey. Uh, and I never really have been great with video stuff, so bear with me. This is my very first video ever. Um, Basically, what I'm just going to show you is, like I said, my process. So I use Photoshop CS5. I don't know if there's any huge differences if you're using an older or a newer version or a completely different program. I would just say if you like anything I do and want to add it to your repertoire here, uh, just, figure it out in your own program. You guys are smart. So what I'm going to start with is just going to show you basically how I produce my pictures. I do work on a 2-week time frame. That's obviously blown up into the air at this point. I will let you guys know the second my upload schedule gets back to normal. But let's just get into it. So here I've got Croon, Ebony, and Elliot. I love them so much. This was actually a Valentine's Day picture that I drew for my husband. I always try to draw something corny, lovey-dovey for him every year and make everybody on my Facebook gag because they can't stand anything that's not black and white, blah, blah, blah. But anyway. So basically, what you got is your outline, and my biggest recommendation for anybody, if you're going to be trying to do this like I am, is make sure all of your lines are connected, because as anybody who uses Photoshop knows, if there's a single misplaced pixel, you can click on here and hit the W button for select, and like see how this is all nice and encapsulated. If you don't, it's going to look more like this, except everything is selected. So the first thing, my biggest recommendation, if you're going to be coloring like this, make sure your lines are connected, and you can simply, after you're done drawing, test it out by selecting. And this just shows me everything is good to go. Whereas over here, Elliot's neck and hair obviously have this huge gap, and in his neck too. So I'll just show you real quick. If you hit like, oh, I just want to do his hair. Well, now you're doing his hair, his bottom portion of his face, and yeah, it's bad. So don't do that. Do this. So what you want to do is start off by selecting your outline. Here it is. Make a layer underneath. Basically, we're going to be working underneath this line layer here. But first I'm going to start by selecting my outline, hitting W for the wand tool, and selecting my area, and then I'm just going to hit shift and add and hold shift as I'm doing this, add all my workable area here. For the hair is what I'm going to be doing in this case. So I'm on the outline, I've selected my regions, then I'm going to go to the hair outline. And now the next problem you're going to run into here is that you've only selected the very, very insides of your space here. If you go to color it, like I'm just going to color it real quick, and you hit deselect, you've got like, okay, you can't see it with this color, but basically there's like this really obnoxious line that happens. Trying to see if I can show you here. It's gonna make me a liar, but anyway, there's usually like this white, you can kind of see these little speckles, and you have to go in, and it takes forever to fix. So we're not going to do that. Let me kind of do away with that. So what we're going to do instead is make sure you're on your hair outline. I guess at this point it doesn't really matter, but this is the layer we're going to be coloring. Come up to select, drop down to modify, and then hit expand. And that's going to make your little marching ants expand underneath the horizons of what you've selected. I usually go with 1 or 2 pixels. That obviously is going to change depending on how thick or thin your lines are using. These are about a 4 pixel wide line, so just to kind of give you an idea. And if you zoom in, you can kind of see here now that everything is nice and covered. So we're on the hair layer. I'm going to go over to my swatches that I built for myself to keep myself organized. Yes, there's somewhere in here swatches that you can do this, but this has names and it's more organized for me. I'm going to toggle between these two by hitting the X button and come back here. And this is the lighter and darker colors. I just start with the lighter color. I'm on my layer. I'm going to hit Alt and Backspace because the alternate of Backspace is fill, and it fills it all nice and neat like. And if you hit Control D to deselect your marching ants, as you can see, all my editing is pretty much done for me. There are going to be like little pieces where the select tool obviously doesn't get, like here are, and that may not be more apparent until you flood the area with different colors and things like that, so you can just kind of fix it as you go. Any place with like a little bit of like a corner here is usually going to be where you're going to run into your trouble, so just, you know, keep an eye on that. Anyway, I'm going to hit Z for zoom, hit Alt, and you can kind of go between the two of them. I'm a big fan of hotkeys because I don't like wasting my time. So now you have your base color. Now with this, I'm going to go ahead and hit Control, select. I know I'm on my layer because it's blue. And from here, you can either continue to draw on the same layer, which I usually do just because it's not a big thing to me. You can also create another layer above that if you are more picky, where you can color and erase, and it's not going to cause like a big thing. But I don't really do that. I just kind of stick to the same. Here, let me delete that. I just kind of stick to the same layer for most cases. There are some times where if I feel like I may need to edit something a little bit more, or I don't want to like be messing around with it too much, I'll just create a standalone layer for just the shading or just this effect or just that effect. But you don't really have to. And then I just hit B for my brush tool, and I just start coloring. And this is like my shading process basically. It's nothing big, it's nothing fancy. I don't use any like special whatevers. I do use like a drawing pad because this is the easiest way to have my natural flow get incorporated into what I'm drawing, obviously. So I used to like try to do it with a clicker and the pen tool. The clicker, I mean the mouse and the pen tool. And it was very mechanical. There was nothing organic about it. So, no, nobody ever said that my drawing tablet was good. It's the best that I could afford. So, bear with me on my, little flubs here. So, the biggest thing that I do with my shading is I pretty much work with 2 brushes for the most part for coloring anyways. I do have some like effects painting that I use, brushes and stuff like that that are shaped like stars. But basically, I'm just going to get all my heavy, hard contrast lines in. That looks good. My light source is kind of somewhere this way. And then what I do after I get most of my hard lines in and like, okay, everything looks good for the most part, I come in with my airbrush next, and I beef that up and make it a little bit bigger. And this is just like something I add in certain areas where I want to show like distance, like the shadow is getting bigger, it's farther away. This helps kind of help with that illusion of it basically. or anything that you maybe don't want to have such bright contrast, or not bright contrast, lined contrast. Ha ha ha, I can't talk today. But anyway, that's the big part. And then what I finally do, just to kind of follow up, is I make it way bigger on my airbrush tool, and I kind of come in and add like just very delicate little shadows. I'm really only using the outside of my brush, as you can see. I'll do a little bit on the face there. And I guess, I don't know, it just looks better to me in general. And then, you know, if you want to come in and do like your little bouncing shadows and stuff, I most of the time don't, even though I do agree that it makes things look nicer. You can change this into a different color if it's like red or blue or whatever. As like a bouncing shadow. And that's about it. Most of this I learned from like YouTube and other people doing like art tutorials and stuff like that. They really didn't touch on most of this in graphic design school, so, you know, you really do not need a graphic design degree or art degree, I think, in order to do this stuff, personally. But hey, if that's your thing, go for it. I'm not gonna hate on anybody. So that was the hair. Next I'm gonna do just like a real quick skin tutorial underneath. I do the same thing. I select underneath the hair, make a new layer. I'm going to call that skin, and then go back to my swatches, and Elliot and Kroon are obviously the same person, so I'm not going to bother making two different skin swatches. Come back, and we're going to hit that, hit X to change my color, going to hit Alt backspace, and boom, colored. So as you can see, it's pretty easy. I don't think you need anything like super special. Again, if like there's anything crazy cool that you guys think that I should be doing to help my artwork, let me know. I don't know. I just think it's pretty basic stuff, but I like how it comes out. And then just sort of make your way through. But, you know, this is like definitely my first video ever. I haven't done YouTube before. I haven't done like any of this, but I've actually had more than a few requests for it at this point, so I figured it was about time. So, you know, if there's anything you guys want to see in the future, if you just want me to do like, I know speed painting is one thing. I was going to do like a speed paint of like a full portrait. I could do this picture if you want. I could do other pictures, whatever. And you can just kind of listen to me blab about whatever, but I kind of need stuff to blab about, so any suggestions would be helpful. But as you can see, it's pretty easy, I think. It's stress relief for sure. Anytime I'm having a bad time or whatever, I can just come here and start disappearing into my art, and this is sort of how I came up with my style, you know? Just practice over and over. Anything that I hated, I just worked on, and I mean, I'm sure there's stuff that I'm not happy with at this point either, but I like it. It's my style, so I'm keeping it. But anyway, yeah, so this is about it. I don't know really what else to talk about. Like Elliot's Journal, you know, the main subject. I could talk about that. I just kind of started drawing it one day. I hadn't drawn for 6 months of my life, actually. I was, like, in a bad space. I do have depression, and I actually suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder. So as much as this is, like, a relief for that and a therapy for that, those with depression know sometimes you just kind of lose your interest in things. So at one point I just hadn't drawn for 6 months, and I was getting depressed over the fact that I wasn't drawing. So what I ended up doing was I just was like, you know what, I bet I could make a webtoon. And that's basically how it started. And I just kind of picked up on Photoshop and started doing it one day, and that's a little example real quick here. There's a little gap, and it selected this, so let me fix that real quick. But anyway, I basically was like, I bet I can do that, you know, like there's not a lot of other things that I love to do. So I just sat down and started drawing one day, and I watched lots of YouTube tutorials, and there was a few like helpful pointers and tips and tricks that you can read on like the Webtoons website. Why is this not working? Anyway, sorry, sometimes Photoshop starts doing dumb stuff. But I just started drawing one day, and the very first episode was like, oh my god, it was like 30 something panels long, and for a really long time I was just drawing like one scene is one page, the next scene is just one page, and it was grueling work. I ended up like hurting my hand, and it still kind of hurts when I overdraw. A lot of that was because I worked for a call center, and it was just typing all day, and then I'd turn around and draw for hours on top of that. So it was just not a great thing, and I was hurting myself, but I really, really wanted Elliot's Journal to be successful, so I just kept doing it. And, you know, I've just learned it's not worth it. Don't hurt yourself when it comes to your art. Just don't. If you need to take a break, because that's going to be very important. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump in and start doing Ebony's hair while I'm at it. So yeah, that's kind of the very beginning of Elliot's Journal. Was, technically it is a pre-story. I can't say much besides that, but it is a prequel. Not really a prequel, but whatever. Backstory, origin story, blah, blah, blah. There's more to come. Hey, so I haven't really told anybody on the Webtoons app itself. I don't know why I'm doing this. Alt, backspace. There we go. But anyway, I just started drawing one day, and it was like oh god, I don't even know, like the first couple 10, 20 episodes, I feel, were just like awful, horrible. But like that's the learning curve, you know. Everybody's got to start somewhere. Everybody has to pick up their pen, computer, pencil, whatever, and just start. And that was the hardest thing for me, is I didn't have anybody showing me what to do, so I just had to teach myself. And here I am, you know. On the way, my art style has definitely gotten a hell of a lot better. If you look at the very first episode of Elliot's Journal compared to this, it's just like, it's bad. I'm just gonna say that. It's awful. But, like, everybody starts somewhere. Everybody's bad at some point, and you just keep drawing, and you just keep getting better. And that's what I've learned, is not be so hard on myself, not continue to compare myself to other artists and other artists' success, because I'm going to be focusing too much on their success and not focused so much on mine. So that's what I'm doing here, basically. But I hope that was kind of helpful for you. You know, I guess maybe I'll do like a more in-depth like background video eventually, kind of talking about the characters. Anything you guys can think of, just let me know. But this is just kind of what I wanted to show you real quick. I hope this really makes things quicker for you. As you can see, you can just fly in here and like select everything. Everything's good to go. Go back down to the skin layer. Yeah, anyway, super awkward ending. I have actually already recorded this like 4 freaking times, but like I said, I'm a super noob when it comes to video stuff, and I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So, oh no, I didn't expand. By the way, this is one thing while I'm here. If you like fill it, you can just go back in, modify, expand, and then just like refill over that. Yeah. And now that's fixed, so. But yeah, anything you guys want to hear about, anything you guys want to see, any comments, whatever, just let me know. You know, definitely subscribe to Elliot's Journal on Webtoons. I also host it on Tapas. I'm just not really super active there. I started with Webtoons, so I guess I'm just more comfortable there. I'm messing everything up. Anyway. Yeah, that's where I started. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this. I do have social medias. Again, ShellyPhish with a PH, single word. You can find me on like Instagram is mainly where I'm going to be posting content. I do have a Facebook page that I'd like to be a lot more active on. It's just I have more active people on Instagram, so that's probably why I've been there mainly. But Instagram, I am apparently going to be doing YouTube videos, which I was not expecting to do, but cool. I don't mind. This is actually kind of fun. But follow me there. Let me know if there's anything else you want to see or know about or learn or whatever. Of course, I need to take a moment to like self-advertise a bit. I've got a Patreon, so if you want to go to Patreon, you can always support me there, or contact me if you have anything. But anyway, that is everything for today, guys. So thanks again for watching on my channel here, and you guys have a great day, and I'll see you later.